guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is Warren. I am a banker here in London and a property investor across the UK. My goal is to live free and independently from property. So I'm looking for an income of £3,000 per month to cover all of my costs from property over the next 5 years. If you're about living free through property and living life on your own terms, subscribe. My content is all about that, guys. So today's video, we're talking about how most people can become a millionaire from UK property. Most people like me, like you, your friends, your family, you don't have to be rich, you don't have to be from a particular class, you don't have to have all of these connections to become a millionaire over your lifetime from property and to create a life that you want. In my previous video about why you should invest in property, especially in this day and age where wages are stagnant, where the cost of living is going up, where the richest people in the society are getting richer and the supposed middle class are actually getting poorer. Watch my video on that, guys. I give you a clear explanation on why you do need to invest in assets in order to, yes, be rich and build wealth, but just to survive day to day, because we really aren't as middle class as we think we are in this country. But today's video is about how you can become a millionaire. I'm going to go through the maths, through numbers. You know me, I like stats, I like hard numbers. I'm going to show you examples of how you can become a millionaire through investing in property and some tips around how you can actually afford to do that, because you might be thinking, Warren, have you seen the price of property in the UK where I live? Yes, I have. I live in London. I know your pain, but I still find ways to invest in property that are affordable, guys. So I'm going to give you some tips at the end of the video, so stick around for that part. So how can you become a millionaire through investing in UK property, UK housing? By the way, guys, when I say millionaire, my definition of a millionaire is to have £1 million in net assets. So that's your assets minus your liabilities. What's left at the end of that should add up to £1 million. So first of all, guys, let me tell you why we in the UK are uniquely positioned to become millionaires if we want to from property. The UK is one of the most desirable countries in the world to live in. You know, people come from all over the world to live in the UK. UK is a great place to live. The only thing that would make the UK the best country on earth, and this is my one major issue, major complaint about living here in the UK, is that we do not have a good climate. Okay, if we had the sun and the beaches of, say, Spain or the Caribbean, I mean, I would never leave. I'd never even go on holiday, guys. I would stay here 365 days a year throughout the year. If we had the climate, it really would be the best country on earth. But I digress. It's still right here. So the UK is a small island, guys. The population is just under 70 million, but the landmass is pretty small. So what that means is, with all of the population here, with all the people that want to come here, there is an under supply and an over demand of property, and it's been that way for decades. If you know anything about housing in the UK, the government has a target of amount of houses to build per year, and they've been missing that for decades. Now, why is that great for property? Because when you have an asset that you can invest in where there is a long-term over demand and under supply, it does that to the price. The price goes up over time. And if you check the stats from the UK Land Registry, as you can see on screen, over the past 10 years, I'm not even going beyond 10 years, over the last 10 years alone, the average growth has been 6.8% per year. That is really good. I mean, you'll be hard pressed to find another asset as reliable as that. If you extend beyond the last 10 years to the last 20 years, the average growth has been 13% per year. But let's be conservative for the purposes of this video and say for the last 10 years, 6.8%. Again, very good, consistent long-term return for an asset. And what does that translate to? If you own an asset that's grown on average 13% for the last 20 years or 6.8% for the last 10 years, that is going to increase your net worth. In housing property terms, we call that equity, and that's really what makes people millionaires. Yes, you get an income from rent during that time as well, which is of course a cherry on the top to get a regular income as well, but really millionaires are created through property, through that growth in the value of that asset, through that equity, which translate to your net worth. And if you need any more evidence for why property is so good, it's the second largest source of wealth in the UK, according to the Office for National Statistics. So the wealthiest people, the millionaires in society, and the smart people who aren't millionaires, because this video is really about me and you, normal people, you can become wealthy through investing in UK property. So let's have a look at how that works out in financial terms. Now, I really like using Landlord. It's a completely free tool that allows you to analyze deals. All you do is you input a few simple metrics like the property purchase price, the rent that you'll expect to get, the mortgage or loan that you're going to require, the operating expenses, and for the sake of this video, the long-term assumptions. And the long-term assumptions include the annual rate at which property grows in the UK. You can put the inflation rate and the amount by which rent increases year to year. Here's one I made earlier, which is basically a deal that I was looking at recently. As you can see, I put in the property purchase price, the loan that I'm expecting, the operating costs, and the assumptions. And what I really love about this tool is that you can project into the future and have a look at how much your property is going to go up by and the equity that you're going to build over time. And if you click on the holding period breakdown here, you can see how your property is expected to grow over the time period that you enter. For this, I've put 20 years. And just a quick one, guys. For me, when it comes to property investing, my strategy is to buy and hold forever. I don't plan on selling off my properties. Why would I sell off a property that grows at that level over the long term and produces a regular income? Properties are my pension plan. They're my inheritance that I'm going to pass down to my kids. I don't plan on selling any of them, guys. You can see that from this one £98,000 property, my equity over the next 20 years, assuming that property continues to grow at the rate that it has done over the last 10 years, and that's a conservative estimate, by the way, will be just under £200,000. That is 1/5 of the way to becoming a millionaire, guys. And this is a property in a cheaper part of the UK. I aim for these properties because I cannot afford properties where I live in London. So I go up north and I have 2 of these types of properties in my portfolio already, guys. And I fully intend to grow my portfolio way beyond 5 houses to get to this millionaire status from property. And I'll give you another example. Instead of a £98,000 investment property, this is one purchased at £200,000. So there's going to be a bigger deposit to pay. But obviously, because the initial value of the property is greater at the start, the equity accrued over time is even greater. So by the end of the same period with a £200,000 property, taking those same assumptions into account, your equity by the end of that period, the holding period, is just over £400,000. So I hope you can see, guys, that when you invest in properties around this price point, between 100,000 and 200,000, you only need a handful of them, assuming properties continue to grow at the rate that they have over the last 10 years, which I fully expect they will do, especially with the amount of quantitative easing and the continued population growth in this country. I fully expect that to happen. I fully expect my kids, when I give these to them, they're going to have significant wealth to inherit. Now you might be saying to me, hey, even with a £100,000 house, I cannot afford that. I can't afford 25k. Really, when you include stamp duty and lawyer fees, you're really looking at paying around about £32,000 to buy an affordable property in a good part of the UK. Now, yes, that is a lot of money. It was a lot of money for me, guys. If you know anything about me, about my background, I grew up on a council estate in a single parent family. So it wasn't like I was given a bag of money from my mum, from my dad, from rich grandparents, from a trust fund to go and put into property. I had to work for it. Guys, there is going to be some level of sacrifice. You're going to have to defer your gratification. You're going to have to not buy cars, clothes, luxury items that you don't necessarily need. You don't need these items, guys. You're going to have to save, guys, like I did. So I know it's possible. Property is a long game. It's not a get rich quick scheme. You're going to have to save. The hardest part of properties, I'll be dead honest with you guys, is to save for your first property. That is the hardest part. Once you get a property and that starts growing, I just showed you the equity graph on the screen. You can take out some of that equity that you build up over time and use the money, use the growth in the value of your properties that you already own to use to purchase other properties. You don't necessarily have to save from scratch. And the longer that you hold your properties for, the more equity they accrue and the more money you have to take out and buy other properties. It's basically recycling equity. The hardest part is the first one. Also, guys, a really big tip that I would say is to partner up with other people. Obviously, it has to be someone you can trust, someone that you work well with, whether it's family, whether it's a friend or a business partner. Vet these people, because when you go into a business or financial partnership with anyone, it can go wrong. So you want to make sure it's someone that you vetted first and that you trust and that you have the same goals, same mindset, so you work well with them. But guys, I just wanted to put that on screen for you and give you a visual and give you some tips and show you that becoming a millionaire from property is not hard. As long as you have the right strategy, as long as you have the discipline and the consistency to save and the patience, it really isn't unobtainable. And I think it's achievable for most people. I think becoming a millionaire from property is achievable for most people if you really want it. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Let me know if this helped you. If you disagree, I'm open to it. All I know is something that I'm working on, and I'm already 3/5 of the way there in my 30s, and it's something that I'm excited about, something that I want to share as a passion. I want other people to build wealth through property. If this was a useful video, guys, please feel free to smash the like button and subscribe. Really helps me with the algorithm, and I'll see you guys soon.